With it being the NASCAR off season, of course, you're going to see a lot of the next year's paint schemes or liveries or whatever you want to call them being announced. And with it, you do have a lot of good ones, but you also have a lot of bad ones. And I need to say that point because there's going to be a lot of brain dead people thinking I'm saying that every scheme sucks, that everything's awful. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is what I'm saying, though, that there is a bit of a problem when it comes to bad or at least just dull paint schemes in NASCAR, and I am not blaming the designers at all for it. In fact, I think they're the ones being hurt the most by it, and if anything is to be taken away from this video is that I think the designers should have more power in which ways the cars go rather than less. But what I've noticed is that people for, honestly, about a decade, maybe a little less, have been talking more and more about paint schemes and how poor they think they are, or how ugly they think some of them are. And I think there's a few reasons for this. They're not all bad things for the sport or even paint schemes in general, and much of this is subjective. But there's reasons that need to be looked at, maybe addressed, and also different biases we all have with it. They're not bad. They may even help with the teams. First off is more and more and more corporatizing. And listen, NASCAR is probably the most corporate sport you're going to get. There's a reason nobody in the media really breaks anything or really wants to rock the boat at all, because it's really the most difficult sport probably to do that in when it comes to America. But even if NASCAR weren't to get more corporate, the landscape, and the landscape especially of corporate America around it, has changed to a point that everything needs to be sanitized and used in their own special ways. And with that as well, you also have a sport that needs to be this way because that's the primary way that money is being brought in. And with this, more money comes more control wanted from TV networks to the sponsors themselves. And these sponsors are going to want specific ways that their logos are made. Yes, the teams have control over which ways they are for the most part, but the sponsor gets the final say. And the scheme can be damned because of it. Doesn't matter how good of a scheme that a great designer puts out there, if a sponsor doesn't like the way that one color mixes with the other behind their logo, they want the whole damn thing scrapped. And I think that that is a big part to look at as well. Some sponsors just don't know how to advertise in NASCAR correctly, and the teams will never stand up to them because they are slaves to the almighty dollar. Then you also have one other thing that has changed immensely in the Gen 6 and Next Gen era, and that is wraps over paint. For the longest time, NASCAR teams would mostly paint their cars, and because of this, the paint would have these brighter, more vibrant colors that would stick out to your eyes on TV. And you probably noticed through the 2010s that NASCAR just kind of got duller. Didn't look like it had that shine, that sparkle to it in a literal sense, but you couldn't put your finger on it. You didn't know, but your brain knew. And the thing is, the paint is really the big part of it. I've seen a lot of comparisons of similar paint schemes when it is a full car wrap with everything put already on it and all you have to do is stick it on, which again, difficult process, don't want to do it, but rather than paint it, an easier process. And it is easier and, based on the way the teams talk about it, cheaper for them. I'm not saying it's something that needs to be axed immediately, but I think that, especially subjectively to a lot of us who were around back when everything was painted, we subjectively and maybe objectively in some cases know it's better. You can tell when the paint is on the car rather than a wrap because of that sparkle, that shine, and it's just in general not there anymore. The colors all sort of blend together, if it makes any sense. And another piece of the pie that has really changed how good the general paint scheme is in NASCAR is the number placement. Now, I'm not saying that the number placement alone made it bad. What I'm saying more is that teams and sponsors do not know how to use the extra space for the most part. There's some like Trackhouse who knock it out of the park. They're amazing with it. You see their schemes and they use every bit of the car to their advantage. Even if they don't have a sponsor in the place, they have something there that will set it apart. But for every one of those, you have teams that just do not use that space in any good way whatsoever, and it's clear as day that they're basically just using the same sponsor space that they had before with the number forward. Again, the number forward can be used really well. Look on Instagram and Twitter at any designers or up-and-coming ones who put out different concepts, and you'll see that they can use every bit of space and make every car look better than it is now, but they're able to at least still have that brand identity. You can have somebody make their own Napa scheme and then use every bit of that space to show the sponsor bigger, to show the number better. Every part of the brand is shown, but it looks good compared to a lot of the cars now that just flat out look mediocre. And with the next gen car, the newest bit of this that's being used is with the OSS system and gaming that laser system. With this, though, it has been used in the Gen 6 era, but you see it where random boxes or different jagged edges of colors will randomly jut out of the paint scheme and completely look awful and out of place, and it's because they're trying to just get that little bit, that thousandth of an inch difference that could make a huge difference in aero advantage. And like it or not, those little differences are bigger than ever nowadays because of every car basically being the same. I don't want anyone to downplay just how important that part of it is. Again, this stuff is all subjective, and I'm not saying they all have to change it, but I am saying that if you're looking at the reasons why this isn't great, these are right here in front of you, and this is why. But what are my preferences for change? Because I don't want to sit here and complain into a mic on YouTube all the time and not offer some solutions, or at least what I think might help. And I know that a lot of the designers and a lot of people who would be able to change this probably do agree with me. First off, I'm going to say it. Simple is better. I don't need a bunch of weird squiggles, squares, and whatever else you want to put on there when you can give me a pretty clean paint scheme with minimal effort. And I think that you can see it throughout NASCAR history. It doesn't even have to be a flat one color car like the Dale Earnhardt 3 or Dale Jr. 8. It can be a flames or rainbow car like Jeff Gordon's was, or the silver and blue of Jimmy Johnson back in the day, orange and black with Tony Stewart, even with that shark fin on the side of it. You can have so many different iconic paint schemes that still have some sort of art on it that makes it stand out from just a blank car that you could probably see the same kind of paint scheme on the road. And I think that part of this, though, has to go back to the designers. And that is my other major pillar of change that I would want. Let the designers have a bit of free reign. Sponsors need to understand that these people are hired and in these teams because they are the best of the best. They can design the best looking car that'll be a 200 mile per hour billboard, but it's the best looking damn billboard you're ever going to see. And they need to have a bit more wiggle room so they don't have to change great paint schemes for an OSS system or for simple number placement differences or because a sponsor doesn't like a color pattern the right way. There's so many ways that you can see on social media that people who are just amateurs know how to make colors work together and make your brand look good without it looking like a complete clusterfuck. But to me, that's it. That's my opinion on why I'm not the biggest fan on modern paint schemes. Now I want to know what your take on modern paint schemes are. So let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.